Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another market update video. Today we're going through the market and what's been happening in the month of May, and now we're heading into June, and we're going to see where that takes us for the rest of the year. Now, I know I've been missing from a few market updates, so we're going to do a bit of an overhaul on everything. I'm going to show you everything what's going on. And again, if this helps you while you're looking at homes, planning on listing your home for sale, drop a comment in the comments below or like the video if this will help you out. So let's get into the video. Now, what's been happening over the last month? So a few things here is the average price point. So the average price is actually up 2.5%. It's down by, 0.9% from last year, and year to date we are down 0.6%. So not a huge change. It's actually a typical change of what's happening in the market is that it's, typically goes up towards the month of May. The median price is up 2.5% as well. Now, the one thing here is the transaction, right? So the transactions are they're up from April, which obviously is expected to be the case typically, but yeah, so from April, we're almost 20% up, but from last May, we're down 11.6%. So that's very, very interesting, right? That's how many homes have sold so far. And overall, year to date, we're down 6%. We're about what, 300-ish sales less than last year. So that is quite a bit of a chunk. The average list price is 782. So you got to look at that too, right? Average sale price is 738, and the average list price is 782. So a little bit of a weighing scale there. That's up 0.7%, down 1.8% from last year, and down 2.5% year to date. Now, new listings volume. So listings are obviously coming up. So we have a 5% increase, but we're actually down in listings by 5% pretty much from last year, which was actually interesting. I felt like there was more inventory on the market nowadays, but it might be just like in certain areas, like obviously like some areas like the Glebe, Westboro, Hindenburg, they don't have as many listings. But if you're looking in the suburbs, there's tons of inventory. Whether you're looking at certain townhomes, you're looking at certain areas, there's tons of hotspots where homes are just coming up for sale, and there's tons of them around, right? So that is something interesting to see. So technically we're less inventory than last year, but increase over from April, obviously. Now, here's one that's very, very interesting. I find 20% of homes are going above list price. Now that's an 18% increase in above list price percentages, right? So that's down from, last year we're at 23.9%, so 15% down now. What does that mean when somebody says, okay, well, 20% of homes are selling above list price? Why? You got to ask yourself, why are they selling above list price? So let's give an example. So let's say the market value from a home. So market value is a perceived value, right? It's an overall value that the market thinks this home is worth, right? So the last two homes sold for, 990, and one sold for 110, and one sold for 105. And one sold for, $1,005,000, one sold for $1,010,000, one sold at $999, right? So let's say the market value is estimated to be about $1 million, right? Well, in today's day, in today's market, I'm finding a lot of sellers that are getting the above average, above list price numbers is typically like, let's say we have a home that's worth $1 million on market, right? That we think the market value is $1 million, and these sellers are like, you know what? We see that the average days on market is 32. It's quite high. We don't want to be on the market that much, right? It could be even longer than 32 days on market. It could take us 2, 3, 4 months to sell, right? If we list high. So why don't we list at a number like 950, right? Number at 950, anybody looking in that area, that general area that they've been keeping on top of, they know 950 is an attractive price. So you'll get tons of action. And let's say you list at 950 and you sell for 970, 960, 980, whatever, right? You're above average, you're above list price, right? By 20, you're one of the 20% that got an over list price, which is great. But are you at the market price? Probably not, because people know it's a bargain these days. So what they're doing is they're jumping on those homes that are priced really well, and they're getting the deals done there. So that's something that's very skewed. You want to know that, as a seller, is somebody getting above asking on their home because it's a really nice home and people really want it that bad? Or is it because they just priced it really low and aggressively to make sure that it sells? I want to lean towards a side where it's, they wanted it to sell more than getting the most amount they could for it, right? They could have easily listed at $1 million and maybe they get an offer at 985 and they take it, right? But they're not sure if they're even going to get that offer. So that's why some of these people will list at, 940, 950 and be like, you know what, I want to guarantee that I get a good action. So I'm going to list super low comparative to my area, and I'm going to guarantee that I get action and I get this home sold and I'm out of it. I don't have to think about it and it's done. So that's what's happening there, right? We still got 70% of the homes still selling below list price. So that's, not a huge change from last month. It's an increase from last year, so 6% increase in how many homes are selling under list price. Average sale to list price, so the average person is getting about 98, roughly 99% of asking price on their home, right? The average days on market, this one is very, very important. It's 32 days. It's down by 11% from 36 last month, but it's still above what it was last year. Last year, we were at 27 days, and even that was kind of long. So you are seeing longer days on market. 32 days is just the average, and that does factor in everything, right? So the one thing we want to talk about too is the number of terminations. So terminations, this doesn't mean 944 people took their home off the market. Yes, in essence it does, but what it means is also out of those 944 terminations, there are a good chunk of them that are homes that are sitting for longer than 32 days. And what they're doing is, you know what, I'm going to drop the price. But instead of dropping my price, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my listing first. And then the next day, I'm just going to come up as a brand new listing at a new price. That way, I look at it as a fresh listing. I'm new to the market. My days on market resets to zero, temporarily. Obviously, everybody can see the history. If you're on House Sigma, Redfin, all those apps can show you the history. It'll show you a full breakdown. When was this property originally listed? What is it listed at now? How many days has been at that price? All these things. So they're not fooling anybody, and they know that. But what it does is it completely refreshes it, right? So it makes it seem that hey, we're a brand new listing. Sometimes they'll even change the photos, take better photos, take new photos, all that stuff, just to refresh it all together. And that's where I think we're getting a bulk of the terminations. It's up 20% from last month, and it's up 10% from last year. So because we have more inventory sitting now, obviously the terminations volume is going to grow as well, because let's face it, I doubt 944 people took their house completely off the market without selling. That's 1,000 people that just said, I don't want to move. I highly doubt that, right? And that's basically 1,000 people out of the 4,200, like 1,000 people from the 4,826 sales that we have, right? They just decided not to sell. I don't believe that, right? So I think a lot of the terminations is coming from cancels and relists. I personally think it's probably about half of that is cancels and relists, and I think some of them are probably suspending and just waiting and coming back in the market in a month or something, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing that we got to talk about that's affecting the market is interest rates. So the Bank of Canada has not dropped rates in the last 4 announcements. We got another announcement coming up on June 10th, so in 9 days from now. Now, one thing that we didn't discuss is why haven't they made any moves? Well, we got pretty rough economy right now. We got gas prices going up. We got inflation coming up. We're in a technical recession right now. So that's 2 months of negative growth back to back. So that is very real. And the chances of the interest rates going up slightly is there. I don't want to say it's guaranteed, but it could happen. We're also seeing the Canada bond yields, the Canadian bonds also go up. So people that were getting the 3.99, 3.85 fixed rates, that's kind of gone now. Like you won't be able to find that anymore. Very, very rarely, I think. Right now, you're probably seeing something with a 4, 4.2, 4.25, 4.3, somewhere in that range is probably what you're finding these days, as opposed to, a month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you were looking at, so I had people at 3.85 that were, thinking that the rates were going to go even lower. So this has made a drastic turn. So keep that in mind if you're making a decision over the next 6 months to a year. These are things you got to be cognizant of going forward. Now, for back-to-back no changes, does that mean we're signaling for a change, whether it goes up or down in the next few months? I think so. I don't think there's going to be any changes in June or July personally. I probably think that we might see a rate drop in September or October, and I think that'll be it. So basically one rate drop all year. I don't think they're going to do anything in December. It just doesn't make sense. I don't think we've seen much in December. Was there a rate? Yeah, there wasn't a rate drop last December, and there was one by 0.5 in 2024. So that was the most drastic one in the last almost 2 years, right? A few things to note as well. So let's go to our custom charts here. Past transactions, we'll keep that out. So let's go back a little bit further. Let's go to January of 2022. And we're at June 6th, right? So we have new listings volume. So let's go to our transaction volume. right? So we're trending in the right direction. The one thing I'll say here is May is, if this is our peak, it's going to be a very similar year to May of 2024, right? And that's like, look at this, right? Last year in May, we sold almost 200 more homes, and that's where it peaked. And then June was still pretty strong. June was a very strong month, stronger than April, and it held a little bit, and then it went down slowly as we went into the other months, right? So if this is where May is going to peak, I think, what did we have in June of 2024? We had 1,257 transactions. I honestly thought that May was going to explode, and I thought we were probably going to see somewhere around 15, 16, 1,700 transactions, and that's clearly not the case. The one thing I will say is that there's a lot of transactions that aren't accounted for here. Now, what am I talking about when I say that? I mean, that's when I'm talking about the new builds, new construction, pre-construction, all that stuff, right? You have HST rebates, GST rebates, first-time rebates, all that stuff is, because that doesn't get accounted for in here. That's strictly with the builder themselves. They are not sharing any of that information with the market. That is one thing that I wish we had in this market analysis report, is that the builders should be putting all their inventory online, right? Like, I think that is one of the biggest key factors that's slowing people down. Um, it's not being able to see everything. Like, as a builder, like, you should be like, okay, I'm going to get into politics a little bit here, but here's the thing. I think for it to be a fair market for everybody, I think all homes, every single home, whether it's a new home, yeah, resale home, doesn't matter, it should all be on the market. A builder should be forced to put their home on the market, so that, one, we get to track it, we know what's happening with it. There's more there's more transparency with the builders, because a lot of the times the builders, they control everything, all of their inventory. They don't have to share any of it, right? Like, hey, we had this home up, we actually had a pretty good deal on it last December. We had it listed for, $899, and guess what? Now that the rebates are out here, it's $975 now. So too bad, so sad. You should have bought it then. And it's just like one of those things where it needs to be more transparency. I don't think the HST rebate, GST rebate, I don't think it was a good thing for buyers, because it just pushed people like investors and people like that just to start buying and buying and buying. It didn't actually help the end user. And now we're already seeing new builds, the prices are already going up. Like, I was on Reddit the other day, and I saw, somebody had posted, they saw a Minto Harmony single home in Barhaven. One of their friends had listed this property, or bought this property before the rebates, and that was at 840,000. Okay. Then the rebates came out April 1st. Price randomly jumps up to 865, right? So you're at a 25%, $25,000 increase just overnight, right? Fair enough, whatever. Rebates, sure, maybe there's a few different things here, whatever. Then now guess what it is this month? It's at 970, right? So that is a drastic change. So you're telling me that the same home somebody bought 2 months ago is now worth 170, or what is it, $135,000 more? That doesn't make sense to me. So that's what I think, a lot of stuff like that is going to start happening more and more, because ultimately the builders get to decide their price. If they're sold out, why would they lower the prices? They don't need to sell more. They can't even build fast enough. So why would they even bother? They're just gonna crank up the prices. Once they have built up the units that they've sold, then they'll start maybe pushing the sales that they need, and slowly start chipping away at that. For multiple builders this month, I've seen. I did do a few new build deals myself, and I don't discriminate against builders, but it is like I went to three different offices, three different parts of the city, and it was, hey, we're supposed to be selling 30 homes a month. Well, since the rebate, we've been selling 30 homes a week. And like, what's going to happen with that, right? Like, it's natural that you see prices increase. So, all that to say, my tips and tricks for buyers and sellers in the current market and heading into the next few months. So, first things first, if you're a seller, pricing is everything. There's no more guessing game. There's no more trying for higher. You got to list at the sweet spot. You can't, like, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that miraculous buyer that's going to be like, oh my God, I'd love to overpay for this house. That is completely gone. Price it at what's aggressive enough and still fair enough on the market. You got to be at market value or slightly below to be able to get that right amount of action. If you don't have 10 showings, you're overpriced. If you have 10 showings and no offers, you're overpriced. It's as simple as that. You're supposed to get an offer every 10 viewings. And if you're getting feedback from all the people that are seeing it, it's saying, hey, price too high, but lovely home, guess what? Drop the price. That is as simple as that. So be on top of it on pricing and don't wait to adjust. If it 2 weeks, there's not much action, you have 1 or 2 showings in 2 weeks, that is a horrible start. You got to rejig it, cancel, relist it, restart from scratch and get things moving right there, right? Because everything else is accounted for. The marketing is there, the beautiful photos are there, like the place is clean, it shows well, all that stuff, staging, it's all accounted for. All that's left is the price. Now for buyers, if you are looking, there's obviously deals out there. Homes that are sitting on the market, you can negotiate on them, right? Homes that are just listed and priced aggressively, and you know that they're priced aggressively and you love it, you got to be acting quick. So having your pre-approval ready, having your home inspector ready, making it so that your conditions are super easy is going to help you get that beautiful home that's priced really appropriately, right? So even if you're starting out today and you plan to buy a home in the next 3 months, get everything lined up, get your financing in order, get your home inspector and get your agent to introduce you to a home inspector that you know you're gonna like dealing with, because you never know, right? The home inspectors are just like agents; they're different people. You don't know if you're gonna mesh well with this person. You don't know if like how good are they at their job. Do some research, get some Google reviews, see what their business is operating like as a home inspector. And when you go in there, you're like, okay, every home is going to need some work, right? Whether it's brand new or, if it's brand new, it's going to have warranty, right? If it's a resale home, okay, I know it's going to have a few small things like this, and this, but if there's major stuff, that's when it's an issue, right? So make sure you have that kind of in line, be prepared, and then go see homes, right? If there's nothing wrong with seeing 10, 15, 20 homes and then making a decision, right? You can even see 50 homes for all it matters, right? Just find the perfect home that fits your lifestyle and your current needs, and then make the right offer on it. Other than that, that's all I got. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.